cup at a time. Yeah, this is tea time. Yeah, making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time. So be sure to grab your tea, grab a seat, and tune in to Miss Liz. Tea time. Making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. Tea time.
Well, welcome to Tea Time. That's right, it's evening tea time. And tonight I am joined with Candace MacPhie. She is here, and we're going to be talking about her books called Finding Color and Life Strikes Back, and a couple other books and all that good stuff. And we're going to talk about her tea tonight. And her tea tonight is tenacious, enthusiastic, and adventurous. So before we get started and start serving you a good cup of tea in a different way with Miss Liz, we're going to get you over to Miss Liz's YouTube channel and ring that little doorbell so you can subscribe and be notified when all these incredible tea times are up and live, so you can listen to them in the morning, afternoon, evening, in your car, in your home, at an event, all of that good stuff. And if a tea time resonates with you, please share it with your loved ones and friends, because that's what these tea times are for, is to help other ones connect and resonate with. And we have some incredible books, so you can get some Christmas shopping done, because Christmas is coming. Yes, Miss Liz mentioned the word Christmas. So we're going to get that all out there for you guys. So let's get the disclaimer going. Then I'm going to do Candace's bio, and then we're going to get Candace in here. And we're going to spill some tea with you guys. And you do not need to drink tea with Tea Time with Miss Liz. You can have a glass of water, a glass of juice, coffee, tea, glass of wine, whatever you feel comfortable drinking. So the disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show: Miss Liz myself is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment, please grant StreamYard permission to see your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that the content brought forward for any Tea Time show hosted by myself, Miss Liz, is always brought forward in good faith. However, may bring forth dialogues and opinions that are not representative of my platform. The facts and information are perceived to be accurate at the giving time of airing. All Tea Time guests and audience participants are responsible for using their good judgment and taking any action that may relate to the discussion. The content brought forward may include discussions for some where they may be emotionally at risk. It's significant to know that the show is engaging in discussion forums only to offer and inspire awareness and connection, and is not providing therapeutical advice. If you have any questions about the disclaimer or the panelist discussion, you may freely contact me, Miss Liz, through my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com. Moving forward, should you choose to voluntarily participate in tonight's show in any aspect, I myself, Miss Liz, welcomes you. And should you decide that this show is not made for you at this time, I respect those wishes, and we'll see you at a later show at a later date and time. And again, all Tea Time shows are done on Thursdays, 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you see Tea Time on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, it's a surprise tea time, special tea time, or a rescheduled tea time. Miss Liz just does that. I'm just all over there, so you'll get Miss Liz anytime. So now a little bit about my incredible guest who's waiting in the background. Candace is born in Montreal, Quebec. She spent years backpacking and working around the world. She has a Bachelor of Commerce degree on MBA and worked for 20 years on 4 different continents, and now calls Calgary, Alberta home. She got married, had kids, and things got busy. Time was moving by quickly, and her kids were growing up fast. She shifted gears and quit her job to spend time at home. During COVID lockdown, she had time on her hands and decided to try writing, and started writing the Back in the Year series. When she's not at her computer yelling, just a few more pages, then she'll make dinner. She loves hiking in the Rocky Mountains, hot yoga, reading romance novels, and making up new cake recipes. Especially likes to laugh and spend time with her husband, the self-proclaimed grumpy motherfucker, and my 3 awesome kids. And yes, Miss Liz will put the explicit out there, because I think it's pretty cool that we can swear once in a while. It releases the endorphins. Let me get Kate and Candace in here, and let's spill some tea together. Welcome, Candace.
Thank you. Hi.
When I always open up, I have a mouth full of words, right? And it's just like blah, 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 and it just falls. So I really want to thank you for joining me tonight on Tea Time, Candace. Let's start with who was Candace as a little girl and who's Candace now?
Oh, okay. Little girl and now is not terribly different, I have to say. I was always laughing, probably maybe a little bit more super naive as a kid, and probably still a bit naive, but I kind of enjoy that. Um, just likes to play, likes to have fun, and just doesn't take things too seriously, appreciates what I have. And to be fair, it's pretty similar now. I have I have a thing I like to do with people I meet when I first meet them, and because it kind of gets me to know folks a little bit. And I ask, "What's your inside age?" So my inside age is 13, so I feel still 13. But do you have an age that pops out to your mind?
For me, 9.
9.
I don't know why. That just popped in my head. It was just like 9. What
Then
happened to me at 9? I'm not even sure.
yeah, well, some people are old souls, right? Like my younger brother said when he was 20, he said, "Oh, I'm 45." Everyone has an age inside, and yeah, 13 was my age. I had to sort of play with it a bit, but yeah, so not too dissimilar, to be honest.
Wow. And you caught me off guard. I don't know why the number 9, like the age 9.
You know what? It is what it is, and if number 9 is a good age, then you just like to kick back and skip, and stop and smell the flowers and maybe get distracted a bit and just have fun.
Wow. I've never been asked that question, so thanks for asking that though. So I want to get into your tea right away because I feel like my almost telling me to get to your tea right away. So the word
Okay.
tenacious,
Mhm.
enthusiastic, and adventurous. Tell me
Mhm.
why those 3 words.
Tenacious for me has always been sort of that, like a I didn't even I remember it took me till probably I was about 25 till I even understood what the word meant. And then when I really understood it, I'm like, okay, I get that word. I am that word. I don't let things go. I'm when I was working in the corporate world, I was famous for my drive-bys. I would kind of saddle up to my VP and say, "So," and he'd go, "Oh, okay, what?" And I'd have to sort of just to think about it. And I would come at it from a different angle. I always think that if you've if I truly believe something needs to happen and I'm not getting any momentum, I feel that I have framed my argument wrong. So I need to do whatever I can to sort of bring it up. So I need to reframe it. I need to reword it. I need to put the problem differently. I need to communicate it differently, whether it's maybe I'm talking, maybe I need to present something, like however I need to do it. And I feel this drive inside that if I don't continue, then I'm really letting the team down, whatever the team is. It could be something at work. It could be some way we need to work as a family. It could be, I don't know, that someone needs a party. I don't know, whatever it is. If I truly believe in the inside that something needs to happen, I will push, push, push. But, not so that you want to clobber me, but get to a point where I have done everything I can. And then if I get shut down, then okay, I feel like I've relinquished it and you have acknowledged me and said, "I hear you, it's not happening." Then I'll go, "Okay, great. I'm out," but I won't stop at once. So that tenacious part is speaks to me quite quite succinctly. Enthusiastic. I've always been enthusiastic. I think things are much more fun. We for example, I have 3 kids and they make so much laundry. It's out of control. Like they all play sports, they all do stuff. There's so much laundry. And we have this landing pad right outside the bedrooms, and it's like laundry mountain by the end of the week. And people, when I see the kids starting to pick, I know we need to fold them, right? So I make it fun. I say, okay, laundry folding party, and everyone comes in and we have a tea session. We have a conversation. We sit around on the floor and we throw laundry at each other. I have loads of laundry baskets, so everyone has a basket they can bring to their room, but we make that fun. So for me, even the crappiest things can be fun. So that's where my enthusiastic part comes from. And adventurous, I think it stems to my books as well. I've always wanted to see and experience stuff. I'm I'm a touchy person. I need to do it myself. I need to feel it myself. You can tell me about something and I will appreciate your story and I will listen and ooh and oh in all the right places. But for me to truly get something, and I just need to jump right in and do it. And that goes from directions. Well, I'm just gonna give it a go. I really like those directions now. How a lot of companies are getting to a point where they have the one direction. There's 7 points, and then there's the big book. The big book does not get cracked open. I'll do the short one and then use the force. I just need to kind of get into it and experience and touch it. So those are mine. That's my tea.
Candace, and I really love that you said the big book is too much, right? Keep it simple, keep it fun, when we give it too much, then we're like, oh, I don't want to do this, right? It's like laundry, right? I don't want to do it. Right? We make fun of it, right? And
yeah,
I like that. Folding parties. And I need to encourage my grandkids to be doing that. I mean, folding parties with mom and dad.
Because I don't want to fold everything. I have to do the processing, but I'm not a folder. So everyone can be accountable for their own folding, but we actually make fun. It's actually something, it's a half an hour I look forward to with my kids, which is very authentic. And we laugh and joke and make fun of each other. And so to me, it's those small things, right? You could go on the most luxurious holiday or have the most crazy adventure or spend $1 zillion on something, but it's those moments to me that are the most precious. Anyways, that's just me.
It's the little things that are the big moments in life.
Yeah.
So Candace, you said something about tea sessions. So is it like a tea conversation? Is it tea and cookies? How does your tea session work?
With my kids?
Yeah.
Oh, I was saying it was like a tea session, like our conversation now.
Okay.
We just download, and I think that's when you get the most authentic. I find I have the most authentic conversations with people when there's no script. We're driving in the car, we're going for a walk, we're folding laundry. That's when you get the good stuff, right? If you're trying to set up a time to say, okay, we need to have a chat and and that's one of the things when you mentioned when I had left work, I was finding that I would come home at 7:30 at night and I was so burnt out. I didn't have any time for them. And by that point, they were well over whatever it was. They've had hours since they've gotten home from school. And I was missing it, and I just thought, I didn't have kids to have someone else raise them. I had a nanny, I had a cleaner, I had a gardener, I had someone to shovel my driveway. I had a whole bunch of stuff, but I didn't have that time with them. And it got to a point where the money just wasn't worth it anymore. I was just missing it. And I thought, I'm not doing that. I choose not to do that. So
yeah.
Well,
Candace, I'm glad that you said that, because that's one of the biggest messages that I put out there, right? We make all this money, we get all these titles and all this success, but what sacrifices do we make to get that, right?
It's ugly. I just didn't like who I was. I wouldn't like who at work. I was just straight, get it done. And then I'd come home and I couldn't shake that off. I would be the same way with my kids. I'd be very transactional, very, step by step, and the same sort of, and that's not the kind of parent I wanted to be. That's not the kind of values I wanted my kids to have. Just, oh well, I broke something, buy me another one. I'm like, oh no, what do you mean buy you another one? You broke it. We need to, no, it's gone. But I was at the point where it was easier just to buy them another one than listen to the moaning. But now we have different values. My kids talk differently. They make conscious choices. It's not this sort of more thing that I had with them before.
So you started this series when COVID came, called Back in the Year. Is that with all the 5 books that I found? Is that part of that series?
Yes. So the series is called Back in a Year. And the reason it's called Back in a Year was it's kind of the last thing I said to my family. And when I left, I was living in Canada, not too far from where you are. I was living in Toronto and living this sort of punch the clock kind of life, and going home to my little apartment and sitting and eating my sad meal for one. And I just thought, geez, like this is not the life I want. And when I left to start this big backpacking adventure, sold everything and just said, okay, I'm going. And I was old. I was like 25 when I left. I'm like, ooh, it's like people don't do that at 25. People are getting married, they're settling down. I was just selling everything. And my dad's just like, what are you doing? But I was so deeply unhappy, and I just didn't feel that I could get out of it in the path I was on. The path I was on was going to lead to me marrying some inappropriate person and living a really miserable life that I couldn't be tenacious, enthusiastic, adventurous, like that I would not be able to sort of live the way I wanted to. And so when I left, I packed everything and left and said to my dad and my brother, and I said, okay, I'll be back in a year. And they both were like, yeah, I don't think so, but you go do you. And I wasn't back in a year, but that was my understanding, was that this was going to, I'll be back. But
I kind of like it, right? Because at COVID time too, right? Back in a year, like we didn't know how long we were going to be locked in, right? So
yes,
I kind of like it back in a year. I'll see you in a year.
Yeah, I'll see you in a year, and I'm just going to hang out in my house. Except there, I was doing something much more fun. I was traveling around, but yeah.
Well, that's what they say, right? Take it and go MIA for at least 6 months, and then come back and show them results, right? And that's kind of what you did. You went and started writing.
Yeah, I did. It took a lot more than 6 months. I I should have written, if you had an E, I would have, oh, you did have an E. I could have put but I like enthusiastic better. I did not want to put out a crap book. So I refused to put my name on something that wasn't good. And I spent time, years, like literally years, revamping, reworking, working with people, developing the competency of a writer. Like I said, I worked in the corporate world. I could spin up a PowerPoint like nobody's business, but to be able to tell a compelling story was a skill I didn't have. And it was also very humbling, because I thought I did have it and I didn't. I got some very kind but pinpointed feedback on how I can improve. And I kept rewriting these books, and I kept going with the same until the feedback became on the story rather than my writing style. So I got lots of feedback on, okay, you should be doing more of this. It's too much of that. And until I was able to understand the nuances of how to tell a compelling story, how to dump a bunch of, draggy words, and how to really sort of ebb and flow and bring you into in a humorous way and experience way. And for me, it was interesting because I'm telling a story that actually happened to me, but it's like almost 30 years ago now. So I was a different person, just a whole level of different level of 13 back there. And I had to be able to find the balance between digging deep and sharing what was going on emotionally and explaining where you were without being a travel book, and then making the story go along pretty quick, right? But my goal of these books is for you to take the trip. So I want you to be able to open the book and just get sucked in, like you're there, backpack.
You're jumping there, like that rabbit hole kind of book, right?
You're on the trains. You are getting your ass grabbed. You are the one, dealing with all of these different people, all these different languages and currencies and situations and funny things and crazy people. You get them all. And it just took a time to be able to do justice to the balance of all of that, and it took time to learn how to do it. But I was very proud when I said okay, and when I finally was working with someone and they gave me back the book and they said, okay, this is it, like this is your version, like just go do the changes that the changes that I've written about how to sort of zip the story together a little more compelling. But this is the story now, the way you've written it, the way you've sort of nuanced me through. There's lots of tangles and following all the threads and make sure they're all. I hate reading a book where, they leave you hang. They say, oh, and I took my glass and put it down. You're thinking, oh, it's an important glass. Okay, remember the glass. And then nothing happens with the glass. And you're like, damn you.
And you're like, what did you do with the glass? Like,
where is
did
that?
you wash it? Did you break it?
Yeah.
Where'd it go?
Did someone put poison in it? Like, what happened? So it was just, I was just very specific that I didn't want the reader to get distracted or have this moment where you pop out of the story. I wanted you just to kind of get there and go. And I've had a lot of feedback on finding colors specifically around folk just picking it up and just, just getting through it. So.
Well, I really like the titles of your books. Like you just mentioned one, Finding Colors. Like, how did you get the title of that book?
That book was because that's kind of what happened during the story. The whole thing kicks off because my mom got cancer when I was in my teens, and my whole family rallied and we looked after her until she died just before my 23rd birthday. So a lot of different type of growing up happened during that time period. There was a lot of experiences I missed, but a lot of experiences I had, right? And I knew I only had a short time with her, so everything else got pushed away until, we knew there was a time limit. So we all just kind of rallied and did what we had to do so we could be together as family and help her. But after that, because I spent so long as a caregiver, there's so much of your time. Like if you were to draw a circle and say, okay, how much of your time is a caregiver? Is 1/3 of my time was being a caregiver. And I was kind of like this rudderless boat, just not sure what I wanted, who I was, just like a lot of people at that age, nobody, like you're still figuring stuff out, but I really didn't know. I didn't even know what chores I like what hobbies I liked, because I didn't have time for any. So that sort of deep sadness that I had was just sort of turned my world just gray. Like the moment she died, we were all with her, and it just turned down, and it was just, the world just became very gray and very dull, and every step was work and every moment was work, and I just didn't know what to do with myself. And that's what this book is about, this journey of taking a chance, just saying, okay, I've always wanted to do this, I'm leaving, I'm going to go and do this. And throughout the book, there's lots of stuff that happens, in a lot of an idiot during the book, so I'm just putting that out there too. But it's about finding who you are again, and just being able to say, okay, I can see it. There's color here. I've got it. So that's what that book is about. And it's funny though.
I like that you said that, Candace. There's color here. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the next book that I have here is Life Strikes Back. So was that after Finding Colors?
Yes. So that's book 2 is Life Strikes Back. And I just hear Darth Vader. Dun, 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 dun. And the things that happen in book 2, it's this fast pace, this really tough time, because where it takes place in Russia and the Baltics and Poland. And it's these places that 30 years ago, the tourists weren't as avidly there as they are now, right? I think the world's opened up a bit more. People are sort of dipping their toes into different places, but not many people were there. And it was very different back then, traveling as a woman as well, in terms of the challenges that you have as traveling as a woman. It's not easy. You are objectified a lot. There's a lot of sort of tricky personal situations that happen in this book. And it seemed to me, it's not darker, but it just seemed like, you know, when you watch Life Strikes Back, the movie, Empire Strikes Back, the movie,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, what I loved about that movie was that the people, like, it was bad, right? A lot of bad stuff. I had bawled my eyes out when Han Solo got turned into carbon, like just tears, right? But what made it so good was their friendships and their quips and the fact that it was fast and the fact that you did not get sucked down all the time, but it was this constant up and down. But it was still a challenge for the characters, right? It was their most challenging saga, if you will. Some people could argue, I'm sure. But to me, when you look at those three together, that book is it's so that movie. And to me,
well, it's like that beginning of Darth Vader, right? Dun, dun,
yeah.
dun, dun.
Yeah. And so it's like happening, right? And this book, to me, the second book is very similar. It's a tough time period in terms of really just dealing with this emptiness. So it's the emptiness of death. So original book one deals with, in terms of grief. Also, there's a boy, and it's gets yanked around a bit in book one. But that book one, Finding Color, is really about self-discovery, whereas book two is digging deeper in terms of grief in this, and just saying, oh, okay, so grief is heavy, but it's also empty, right? You have this emptiness that you just can't fill. It's like when you're thirsty and you drink 1,000 drinks and you just can't quench your thirst. And it's like this aching emptiness that is so heavy, and it's just this, and you just try to do whatever you can to get rid of it, but it's work. You have to consciously sort of figure out what it is that you can do to climb out, you know. And that's what this book is. This book takes place, that's the personal journey, but it takes place around a bunch of physical challenges in terms of, it's just really hard to travel in those places. Being women traveling in those places, there's so much verbal assault. It's crazy, and there's also a sexual assault. But there's also the beauty of the funny things that happen. And I have a friend that I'm with, and she's hilarious, and she makes everything better. And we go through the crappiest things, but we still have fun at the end of the day. So it's this quick kind of up and down in terms of getting all the feels again. So that's what book two is.
I got to get this series, because it sounds like rabbit holes, like Alice in Wonderland, kind of like the feel, like, you know, like how I like to write. I like to get you in and just jump in the hole and see where it takes you, right?
Mm-hmm,
And get your mind wondering, like you said with the glass, right? Where did the glass go? Who broke it? Like, did they put poison in it? Did somebody just take it out of the book? Like, you know, where'd that glass go? And I just love the titles of this whole series, because you have Finding Colors and Life Strikes Back. Then I have Hello, I Am Here. Like, it just speaks to you, right? Like, it's just like, okay, get the next book. Like, so how did you come up with that one, Hello, I'm Here?
Well, Hello, I'm Here is actually a very PG shout out from the locals in Egypt. So I never knew that many bad words until I went to Egypt, in terms of all the things that were said to me. But one of the more pleasant ones that I did enjoy was when we would walk down the street, the men would say, "Hello, I am here." So they would want you to notice them. So it's kind of, that's where the double entendre is, but it's also about myself too, in terms of, you know, just I'm here and I'm present and I'm doing this. So that's where that one comes from.
Well, Candace, you mentioned something, traveling as a woman. especially if you're traveling solo, right?
Mhm.
There is a big fear, um, a lot of risk
Yeah,
as well.
I didn't have enough fear, probably. I was probably a little bit too laissez-faire, especially when, again, what I like about this, you could almost classify as historical fiction now because it is 30 years ago. There's no phones. Email is like rare. If you want to, discover something about a place, you have a travel book, a Lonely Planet or a Let's Go, and the sort of recommendations of other travelers, but you don't actually see anything until you get there. My whole world of that inspired me to travel was National Geographic's and Indiana Jones movies, because Indiana Jones has the best adventures, and those adventures were like those kind of movies just didn't exist before. There was that sort of real crisp adventure. So when I got to Cairo, I'm like, Indiana Jones has a lot of explaining to do because this is not Cairo. It was kind of like Aswan, but I was like, where is all this? The colorful markets. And anyways, it inspired me to be. Egypt was one of the places I was desperate to go. And I had always wanted to see the pyramids and take a camel to the pyramids. I was just like, okay, this is happening for me. And it does in book 3. But
So
yeah,
in book 4, it's beautiful warped, I think.
beautifully worked. Yeah. So book 4 is actually just a whole switch up again. It's a safari in Africa, and I did
Go
a
to Africa now.
6-week. I did a 6-week safari. I flew from Cairo to Nairobi, and I overlanded from Nairobi to Harare, and then again down to South Africa. But this book actually is this overland truck trip. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen those big sort of rumbling trucks. They're like a converted truck. There was 27 people from all over the world, and handfuls of people knew each other, but I was on my own. And it's a crazy, I often think of, I don't know if it's anthropology, but an anthropologist would have been like, oh my God, study these people. Just thrown into this really tight situation where you're all intense and you all rely on each other for cooking. There's not a lot of food because sometimes it's not as easy to find food. And just looking at falling in love with Africa, because that's what this book is. It's Africa to me. In my mind, I'd always, Egypt and Australia were always my two, like, yeah. But Africa to me was this gift. It was such a surprise. Just the feeling of the place, it just sinks into your bones, and it's a whole different experience. And that's what this is. It's a love affair, if you will, with Africa, and also a study of 30 crazy people stuck on this one tiny truck and trying to exist and living in tents and just, I had never camped before this. I had literally done, the Labor Day, or the long weekend camping where you open the trunk and then you sort of put out and you maybe set up a little thing. I had never camped, and I was quite keen to go to Africa, and they said, there's bush camping. And I thought, oh, bush camping, isn't all camping bush camping? I didn't get it. I didn't get that bush camping was when you're just there with nothing. They said, bring some wipes for bush camping. And I had to buy wipes in Cairo, and the only wipes they had was rose-scented wipes. Have you ever used rose-scented wipes while you're actually dirty? Like red dust dirty with your rose-scented wipes? You smell like an unwashed granny. It's just
Really bad
not,
cup of tea.
really bad cup of tea, like a dirty rosy cup of tea. And yeah, so that's book 4. So book 4 is all of that, and it's a whole love affair and a whole experience that like no other, for me anyways. It was crazy wonderful.
And book 5 is the landing place.
Yes, so book 5 takes place after the safari, and I ended up in in Johannesburg. The book 5 Stars in Johannesburg. Ironically, this is really strange. In book 1, I met this man at a bar on Canada Day in Moscow. And I was talking to him. He's an older gentleman. We're having a chat. And he says, he's from Montreal. I'm from Montreal. We're both in Moscow. How cool is this? We'll have a chat. And he said, he said, if you come to South Africa, let me know. And I said, I'm going to be in South Africa. And he goes, he wrote down his email and said, email me when you're in town. So I did. I emailed him and he said, I'm not going to be in town, but I'll just get one of my guys to come and get you. He ran a company or something. Anyways, I get picked up by this French Canadian dude in Johannesburg. Like, what? And he plays hockey. So on his balcony, there's a hockey bag. And I'm just like, what? So I went to a hockey game in Johannesburg where it was like the one arena in Johannesburg, and there's like a drip coming from the ceiling, making like a puddle right around the blue line, And I just thought, okay, this is so bizarre. Anyways, that whole book starts there, and it goes down the coast of South Africa, which is beautiful, and then up to Namibia, and then it goes to Australia, and then back around to London again. So that's that one.
Wow. So all of your books take you on a real travel journey.
Yes, you go right around the world, one time right around, and you see everything. And I think for me, the most there's a lot of interesting parts. I think some people might enjoy some places better because, I went there and I really liked it, or I'm interested to hear what you have to say. But I come from this living in this junior 1-bedroom apartment in Toronto by my sad self, and leave and just go, okay, I'm going to do this. And I'm snotty. I'm kind of stuck up. I'm stuck in my ways. I kind of feel like I'm owed something just because I spent those years looking after someone else. This is my time, But by the end of it, I kind of realize I grow, and it's a whole different me, and it's a whole different person. And just seeing the things I've seeing how lucky I am, and how fortunate I was to grow up in Canada, and just to have that opportunity to even be able to do it, just to be able to leave and go and have that time for myself, that gift of time. And I was, when in your life can you say, okay, I sold everything, so I had a pot of cash, and I thought, okay, this is it. The time I have is this much cash. So I wasn't time bound, I was cash bound. So everything I did the cheapest way. Everything I did, if I could save $1 by walking, I would walk. If I could save, by, I don't know, anything I could do in terms of making a sandwich instead of eating somewhere else, or whatever it was, traveling third class everywhere I went, take the detour route because it's cheaper. Whatever I could do, I would do to save money, because that meant one more day at the end of it, because I did not have a time-bound thing. This was a money-bound thing, which is different than most of your life, right? Because all your time, everything's so, okay, I have 2 weeks. Let's see. Are we doing all of it? Or are we just sitting around? Like, what are we achieving here? But it was such a gift, because it was this open-ended, and I could just take a big exhale and just do it. So,
I think that's something that we really need to look into, right? Is money mapping, because we could travel a lot of more locations and enjoy the scenery by making a sandwich instead of eating at a 7-course meal, right? Like, that just gives us 3 extra days in this location.
Yes. And it was like that. And even just getting places. I had an around the world airline ticket. It was much cheaper. It was much cheaper way to travel. And then in between, I would overland, whether it would be there's some places where taxi was cheaper, like in Egypt, or overlanding on a train or a bus or whatever. And what never terribly pleasant experiences, but okay. Yeah, it was whole different. I remember I was in book 5, I was in Namibia, and I was taking a train back to Windhoek. I was on the coast, and I was sitting there chatting with these 2 local girls. They're, I don't know, maybe 15 or something, and they had never heard of the internet. So I was trying to explain the internet to someone who didn't, again, 30 years ago, someone who didn't understand the internet. So trying to explain the concept, and I had a bad chocolate bar, and I was sharing my bad chocolate bar. Their uncle was over with them, just waiting a couple feet away, and they were waiting for their mom to come in on the train. And across the train track from us was the desert train, which looked like the Orient Express. I could seriously see these people in, they were sitting at a table, this like older couple. Her hair was done just so. She had like a really quite bougie scarf on, and he looked like he had a jacket on. They had flowers on the table. They're just cutting their steak, and I'm sitting there sharing my chocolate bar on the, on the platform, and it was just this, and I remember thinking to myself, oh, I would not want to be them. It just looked so stuffy, and it looked so, I could smell the fresh air. I could smell the sand in the desert. I could smell it all. I could feel everything. And I just did not want what they had. So anyways, that's where I enjoyed my cheap travel. So.
So Candace, we have a couple questions here. Your traveling experience, did that help with writing your books?
Oh, my travel experience is the books. So that's the basis of the books, and that's the sort of I don't even know if you would call it the backbone or the plate or the icing on top. I'm not quite sure, because if you want to, the overarch story of the book is this the development of the main character and the growth and dealing with grief and understanding yourself, but it happens within the frame of traveling. And I've only sort of I feel like it's kind of like if everything's a flat playing field and things pop up. So what's in the story is only the best of all the things that happen. So you get to kind of go through. I was very specific on pacing in terms of I wanted you to experience like what it's like to be on that dusty train platform, or what it's like to be on that bus that smells like mildew, or how bad the shocks were, or whatever it is. But you don't need to have it every time. So there's just the best of those stories that kind of bring you through the overarching thing. So the travel is it. I used to avidly journal. I would write down it's a nerd at heart right here, so I gotta write it all down, and it's all in the journals, like not the book, but what happened. So, and the story is different than what happened. So in the journal is what happened, but the story is what I've been writing.
And what age group is your books made for?
It's terrible, isn't it? I would say anything over 18. I haven't let my kids read it yet, and they don't really want to, but fair. I think it's an interest level too. I think folks over 40 would probably find it pretty interesting, but I've also given it to a lot of younger folks who've liked it as well. We went on a big holiday last summer, and I had a suitcase full of my books, and I would leave them all over at different hostels and stuff when we were away. And I would leave my contact details in the books, and a number of travelers email me and say, "Oh my God, I loved your book." So it's been kind of neat. So younger folks have enjoyed it. I kind of look at it as a category of if you've taken the trip but didn't write it down and want to remember, if you didn't take the trip, or if you're thinking of taking the trip. These are kind of the books you want to read, or you just want to be like it's just they're the kind of books that you can just pick up and just read. and just enjoy. I have people say, oh, I've laughed out loud. And everyone has said they laughed out loud at different places. And but also have people say, oh my God, I bawled my eyes out. Or I just thought, wow, there was parts that were emotional. There was parts that made me laugh. And it was just a fun ride. So that's what I want people to have.
Well, and I like it. Like, I'll be back in a year, right? It just shows what you can do in a year. So how long
Yeah.
did it take to write these 5 books?
Much longer than the trip, that's for sure. It's taken probably a couple years for sure, and I've got 2 out. I'm working on my 3rd one. So yeah, way longer than the trip, which I find is a bit ironic, but oh well. I had to learn how to do it, so it's okay.
So, Candace, do you have any plans of writing any new books or a new series or traveling somewhere new or?
Yeah, I said my kids and I did a trip last summer, and I had a vision that I thought, oh, it would be really fun if we wrote like a family version book, and thought, oh, it would be fun, like a family trip. But I didn't feel it. I think for me, writing these books has been on my mind since I've been taking the trip. I thought, oh, it'd be really fun to write about this, But at that time, it was just a pipe dream. And I think it's kind of cool that I have this like dream come true, which is kind of neat. And I will probably do something completely different after these are done. I am cutting my teeth on these ones, but more than cutting my teeth, I want to spin up a really amazing series people will enjoy. And then I'd like to take that travel experience and probably apply it to some kind of mystery stuff. So I'm feeling mystery, maybe some sort of morally gray, mysterious character who does international stuff and can go to the places I've been. So maybe that's where we'll go.
Mystery in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get into the cake making because you mentioned the backbone or the icing on the cake, and I'm like, and she creates these cakes. So how do you get these cakes, and how do you create your cakes?
So this started when I had my 2nd kid, because he's allergic to so much stuff that I cried when I got back from the allergist. So he's allergic to dairy, eggs, nuts, seeds, and randomly kiwi. So I grew up on grilled cheese sandwiches and cheese casseroles. So this was a very big transition for me as a parent to learn how to recook. So I spent nights and nights walking the grocery store aisles, reading all the labels of stuff. And really the only thing he could eat off the shelf was Oreos and chips, because Oreos are pretty much full of crap. No offense, Oreos, but they are. And chips. So I thought, okay, if I want this kid to be able to experience cake or experience cookies, I have to learn how to cook differently, without eggs, without dairy, and how am I going to bake without eggs and without butter? So I just had to relearn how to cook stuff. And so I took my favorite recipes and reworked them. And I think my worst was I had an epic lemon cake fail that was really bad, but everything else was pretty good. We ride the banana chocolate chip cake pretty hard, and pumpkin cake, because any kind of fruit-based cake is a nice replacer for eggs. Yeah. And the dairy supplements now, again, he's 17 now, but now there's lots of good dairy supplement options. So you're kind of cooking with that. But the egg thing was a bit hard, especially if you have 4 eggs in a recipe. Gosh, that's a lot of volume. How are you going to make that up? So anyways, I think my latest one, which was kind of met with a bit of controversy, was my orange date cake. Now, I thought it looked pretty good, but I had a kind of mixed reviews on that. So yeah, I'm constantly I'm actually, I have to say, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty proficient. I can kind of look and see what I've got, and I can kind of whip up some sort of cake from pretty much anything. I can pretty much make a cake. So I couldn't go on one of those pretty baking shows where they do nice icing and stuff. That's not my jam, but I could whip up a nice cake for you.
I was just watching this series on Netflix called Nailed It, where they have to make cakes, and I'm like, oh my goodness, no. And they're nailed it, and their icing's all sideways and everything. And I was nailed it.
I know.
Good job.
Yeah, that would be what my icing would look like, but the cake would taste really good, and it would be dairy, egg, nut free. So call me if you need any of those recipes. I got them.
So you're big on cake, right?
I'm big on cake because I didn't want him to miss out. So we are a big cake family, and there's always, my grandmother used to do pies. There was like she stacked those blueberry pies in the freezer, but for me it's cake. There's always cake in the freezer. So anyone that pops over, there's always cake. Yeah.
So what was your most outrageous cake you've made?
Most outrageous cake. It was probably that orange date cake because I thought it was on to a winner because I kind of like dates, but no, that was a bit a bit controversial. Didn't have as many takers for sort of that stuck around in the freezer for a while. My husband ate it when he was pretty desperate, but that was it. He's like, I want something sweet. I'm like, oh, orange date. He said, dang it. Okay, fine.
Have you ever had a cook-off in your house?
A cook-off? No, but I have to say my son is probably one of our best cooks just because I got sandwich or two girls and I decided the son in the middle, but I've really focused on him in terms of teaching him how to cook because of all his allergies. I'm like, you're not the dude that can grab a pizza after school. You got to learn how to make your own food. So we spent a lot of time teaching him how to cook, and it's my daughter's birthday on the weekend, and he's making cupcakes. So there you go.
Oh, well, look at that.
I know.
Start them off young, and then you
I know.
never know, you might have a future chef in the family, right?
Maybe.
So you're no longer in Montreal, you're in Calgary. So what do you love about Calgary?
Oh, those mountains. I don't know if you've seen them or if you've seen them in pictures, but in the pictures is exactly how they are. They are literally take my breath away. I have been living here for almost 20 years. And every time I catch a glimpse of those icy, like we just had a rainstorm, so they're back to the snow, but in the summer they're usually quite this like really different shades of charcoal and gray, but when the snow peaks come, so beautiful. It is breathtaking.
You're not telling me you have snow already in Calgary, do you?
We did. I haven't seen the mountains today, but we had a really bad rainstorm last week, and they had some snow peaks on there because of the elevation. We're much more. Yeah.
Wow. And I really like that you had mentioned a Canadian dude. Like I was like, this girl is Canadian because just the word dude, right? Us Canadian girls, that's what we say. We say dude.
We sure do.
So with your Canadian dude, do you have a favorite Canadian hockey team?
Oh, it has to be the Canadians. I'm from Montreal, so it doesn't change. Now, my brother, cheater that he is, has moved to Edmonton. He's an Edmonton fan now, which I am like not even talking to him about. But yeah, definitely the Canadians.
So, Candace, you gave me the word, the color blue. Your favorite color is blue. Why blue?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm wearing green. I've got a green situation.
I was
going on
hoping you were going to wear blue. I was just like, she likes blue.
I know. I should have worn blue. I actually had a blue shirt on, but I spilled something on his head to change.
It wasn't meant to be.
Green it is. I'm like sadly going through my closet looking for something else. Yeah. So I just find blue very peaceful. It's funny. I didn't realize my favorite color was blue until we redid our kitchen and everything, and the tile and everything I picked all blue. And I went, oh, okay. I guess blue's my jam. So yeah, everything's blue.
So your kitchen's all blue. Wow, that's an interesting color for a kitchen.
It's like an aquamarine blue, like
a teal kind of.
Yes, like more like a teal. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I know. So it's weird. Okay. It's like under the sea. I've got like all these pictures of fish and stuff. I don't know.
Oh, what do you know? Look at that. You
got
know. Under the sea.
I know. Whatever.
She's got adventure, guys. She's got adventure.
Yeah. Give it a try. See how it goes. It works.
Well, you use the word adventurous, right? Like you're full of adventure. Mm-hmm. And you gave me the word empathetic for a word to describe yourself. Why that word?
Mm-hmm. That's just me. I am like a mood sucker. Like I'll sit there and I can literally feel if someone's sitting beside me or even in the room, I can just feel their mood sort of slither over my skin. And if they're in bad mood, I'm just like, and it almost suffocates me. It's I can feel people's moods change. I'm just very in tune with where people are, and it's it can be a little overwhelming sometimes. But I don't know. My husband laughs because he says he'll ask me something and ask me a question, and I'll tell him. He goes, "How did you get them to tell you that?" I said, I didn't even ask them. I just sat there and they just told me everything. And yeah, I don't know. It's just how I am.
Yeah. Well, when
Yeah.
people feel comfortable, right, they share and they open up.
Mhm.
If you're in a grocery store or something, does someone ever come up to you and tell you their life story or how their
There's a
day's
lot of
going?
there's a lot of life stories. There's a lot. I think one of the most interesting things that happened. It didn't happen to me. I had my youngest and a baby Bjorn, and I was just loading the groceries in the trunk, and this woman stopped me, and she just went, "Oh, that child is just glowing," and she said, "Oh, the colors coming off that baby." She said, "Do not stifle her. Just let her be who she is," and some people might think, oh, it's a bunch of hooey or whatever, but I just thought, okay, cool. My rainbow baby here. She was just beaming out her colors. So, and she's super sweet like that. I call her Sunshine. So, but yeah, I'm kind of down with it. So I like that.
So before we went live, you mentioned snowboarding and skiing and all of that stuff. So all of
Mhm.
your children are directors or coaches, mentors, and all that. So
Yeah,
as
my oldest got her ski license at 14. Ski instructors at 14, and she's just this little dynamo. She's like 5'2", and she's just doesn't take any prisoners. She's amazing. And my son teaches snowboarding, and my youngest snowboards as well. Living here in Alberta, it's lovely, and the mountains are crazy nice, but not much else to do. So we kind of embrace that mountain lifestyle and just rolled with it. We're so lucky where I live. It's a stone's throw from where we had the Olympics, and there's still a ski hill there. I can drive for 5 minutes and drop my kids at the top of the ski hill, and they can ski for a couple hours, and I can pick them up after school. And where can you say you can ski after school? Like, that's pretty cool.
right? No, that is pretty cool. And that's another thing that you do with the family as well. So
Mm-hmm.
family get-togethers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Candace, I want you to let people know where they can get your books and how they can reach out to you if they'd like to have you as a guest and all that. So, if you'd like to just say your website and
Yeah.
spell it out for the audio listeners.
Yes. Okay. Yes. It's one of those names that you can spell it 1,000 different ways. So it's CandaceMacPhie.com. So CandaceMacPhie.com. And you can reach out to me through there. I've got a contact me page. And then there's links to the books there as well for all over the world. So all the links are there too. So it's kind of the best place to go. And then you can read up. There's pictures. There's all sorts of stuff on there. So best place. It's the
So,
one-stop shop. Mhm.
and Cadence, I want to know what book you would recommend out of the five of them. If somebody just wanted to buy one book just to get started, would they start at the bottom or the top?
Oh yeah, no, you got to start with Finding Color. You got to start at the beginning. Yeah. I don't know. I'm a linear girl. It's just the stories are linear. I'm linear. It's all straightforward. And if you want to get it at all, start from the beginning. And it's a nice start, ease you in there. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think it was a real pleasure having you tonight and sharing this amazing cup of tea and having these adventures and traveling and all of that. So, do you have any trips planned for the rest of the year this year
Not
that you're going to take? Or
Yeah, no, not this year. We've done and dusted our travel year. My daughter has gone off to university, so that's been a bit of a change for us. We're just getting used to being one woman down here, and it's taking some getting used to. So that's where we are just now.
well, thank you so much for joining me on Tea Time. I really had a pleasure sitting and getting to know you a little bit and taking me on those adventures and getting to see the world. You like you said, once around the world,
Mhm.
and be back in a year. I like that saying, like I'll be back in a year and let's see what
Mhm.
comes up in a year, right? So
Yeah.
thank you so much for that. And thank you to the viewers and listeners out there. Thank you for your questions and your support. Miss Liz could not do this without all of you guys. We will be back Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday next week. So there are 4 tea times coming. We have Mark Stephen Pearl coming on Monday. He'll be talking about a cup of tea on a como. So elder care and that as well. And then on Tuesday, we will have a returning surprise guest. Lillian Brumpton will be coming in, and we'll be talking about networking, intentional networking. And then we have on Thursday, we have Daphne McCall coming in, and she's a sister of mine from Sacred Hearts Rising. She'll be coming in and talking about You Do You, her book. And then we have Jolie Illustron, I think I'm saying it right. And she'll be coming about illustration and fantasy. So we'll be talking about a lot of cool things.
Yeah.
So we'll see everybody next week, same time, same place, and we're going to serve a different type of tea, Miss Liz style, with tea stories and words, and we'll bring a difference to the world, one cup of tea at a time. So I'll see everybody next week. Don't forget, keep serving your teas.